Hello and good evening, everybody. Today is May 9th, 2019, also known as World War II Victory Day in history. Today is a very solemn day for me, as my great uncle Michael S.E. Compton passed away through the night. He died in his sleep, and he was discovered this morning, this afternoon, and he was completely dead. And that gave me the opportunity to do this speech and this lesson in American history. When the country was founded in 1776, until the Civil War, the whole land was akin to the Garden of Eden. At the Civil War, specifically with Abraham Lincoln's Gettysburg Address, the system turned from the Garden of Eden to Old Testament Jewish law. From the Civil War, Gettysburg Address, until 1933, the government followed Jewish Old Testament law. That means eye for an eye, and Cain and Abel, Genesis, everything in the Old Testament Bible, which is Jewish law. Now, they also have the Torah, which is open to interpretation, but Jewish law is Old Testament, always has been, and always will be. So from the Gettysburg Address, under President Abraham Lincoln, until 1933, the government followed Jewish Old Testament law. From 1933 until about 9/11, 2001, the United States has been under democracy, or Christian New Testament law. And what happened was, from 1933, World War II, as this is World War II Victory Day, this is what triggered this speech. World War II was, as you probably know, Adolf Hitler's war, to where he committed democide over many Jewish people, gypsies, many different classes of people that were in the world, specifically Europe, and it basically marked the end of Old Testament Jewish law, and then created Social Security, World War II bonds based upon the military-industrial complex, all the industry from the petrodollar factory work, Rosie the Riveter, and all the men and women being drafted into the military in order to stimulate the economy and go into factory work and create everything that we have to enjoy today. All the cities were incorporated and into the United States military-industrial complex, and that was all, World War II, Social Security, New Testament, way of doing business. Well, my grandfather's name was S.E. Compton, and he was a prisoner of war in World War II. And, it was either you made it through the war or you didn't make it. Either you went out to war in World War II, either you didn't come home, or you did come home to start a family after World War II. Well, my grandfather, S.E. Compton, was extremely lucky, as many people were, but He made it through the war of World War II. He suffered as a prisoner of war for a long time. He had medals of honor for the United States Army. And then he came home and started a family with my grandmother. And he had 3 children with my grandma, Ruby Compton. And their son was my uncle, Michael Essie Compton. And, that was my grandma's baby boy. And he was my uncle. Loved him dearly, very close to him my entire life. Well, World War II is, how we got to where we are today. And, it was very, very Christian, World War II, as Adolf Hitler quite literally overcame Jewish law and then made, money and the power of the dollar, which is Christian, and the church and the medicine, which is Christian, and that overcame Jewish law. It's all by design. It was all predetermined by the crown countries. Did that for the world. Now, my grandfather passed away many years ago in 1984. But my uncle passed away today. So this Victory Day, and there's no victory that I lost a member of my family. I'm actually quite sickened by how people are proceeding around my family today. But my grandfather, I lost him in 1984. I just lost my uncle Mike May 9th, 2019 on World War II Victory Day. And it had me thinking about funerals and death and how we honor the living and the dead as it stands today. Now, I don't know if you're a child of law, a student, not a child, but a student of law, then you know that a last name means you're dead. If you go look at any gravestone, let's say you go out to the cemetery, you go look at all the all caps headstones, it's everybody's last name and it means the dead. And that's law. Look into it if you want. That's just a hint a little bit about driver's licenses or birth certificates or whatever you want to say now as it is today. But in the World War II generation, if you did make it through war, come home, start a family, get to work in the Roman times, again, where there was all this energy from all the other countries in the world to the United States. There was all this industry, petrodollars, money. Everybody that made it in the war, World War II really separated the chaff from the wheat, so to speak, and made the United States the superpower of the world. The crown did that for everybody, and the royal crown. And anyways, so World War II, if you made it home, you were pretty much guaranteed a cemetery plot. You were given a life if you succeeded in life. You were given a life, and then you were promised an afterlife. And that's true. But today, that was the World War II generation. They were given a life if they succeeded, and then given an afterlife. But the way they want to treat my late great uncle Michael Essie Compton is they want to cremate him. It seems just the way of the world today is that nobody either can afford the real estate for their afterlife in the cemetery, or nobody seems to care, or just doesn't think it's going to happen. It's inevitable due to the last name and everybody gets at birth. But either way, they just can't wait to take everything my Uncle Mike has, give it around, and, give it to whoever wants whatever, and then burn his body alive. And they're talking about putting him into an urn, which had me thinking about the word earn, right? You want to go earn a check, earn a living. And now today, instead of getting a plot of land for an afterlife, you end up in an urn. They just burn you alive. And they called the Holocaust, Adolf Hitler's time in history, they called it the Holocaust. Remember Auschwitz? Well, that means, under Jewish law, the Holocaust means a sacrificial, burnt offering. Well, they just can't wait to burn people's worthless, dead bodies today in this country, as they really have no purpose, no need. There's absolutely no point to life as it is today. Now, New Testament, in the book of Revelations, I guess it never really seems to end. But, if you believe in Christ, then you'll be saved and you'll have your life in the afterlife, yada yada. But so many people are worshiping the culture of death, dying, worthless lives that have no value. And all you do is end up trying to earn a check building the Great Pyramid of Egypt, that's on the back of the dollar, and then you just end up in an urn. You end up, just burnt. Your dead body, your last name just turns to ashes. Well, in the Bible it says, ashes to ashes, dust to dust. I might leave in a body bag, but never in cuffs. Joke. But, the way it is today, people can't wait to earn a check, and then they get burned alive into an urn. Their life has no value. They die. Nobody seems to honor their life or care at all. And it just made me a little ill thinking about the way people are treating one of my family members, let alone me. But the way that they're treating my family member that just passed is sickening me greatly. So that's what triggered this speech. And I thank everybody for watching. And just say a prayer for my Uncle Michael S.E. Compton today. He lived a long life. A very, not too long, but a very full life, due to the blessings of my late great-grandfather. And he just passed away today on World War II Victory Day. It's just kind of strange the way it all worked out in time. But I do thank you for watching and understanding the point of life is not to end, it's to cherish. And it ends for everybody, no matter who you are, what you do, no matter how much money you earned, you're going to end up burnt alive or dead and end up in an urn for the royal masters to snort up, because you don't listen to your elders, you don't do anything of value, you waste time, you waste space. You better wake up and get with the program and do something with your life. Life is a gift. Pass it on. Thank you.